see I am catchy, obvious. So, from the silver screen to the small screen, there is always so much to talk about, but we would never have it any other way. So, here is today's news on film and television. And back like she never left with all the film and TV news is Arise correspondent Judita De Silva, live from our studios in London. Hi Judita. So as always, let's start with television. So former US First Lady Michelle Obama has been surprising some unexpected tourists in America, hasn't she?
Yes, this is absolutely hilarious. So she did an interview on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So what they did was this special little skit where in 30 Rockefeller Center is this famous studio building in New York where all the big shows are filmed, and so is the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. So they were on one floor and tourists were in a lift. So they were just being shown around 30 Rockefeller Center, which is a tourist attraction. And whenever the doors would open, they would just see these two people minding their own business, doing whatever. And it's turned out to be Jimmy Fallon and former First Lady Michelle Obama just there reading a book or skipping or minding her business, and they would lose the plot and just started screaming and laughing. And they put together a montage of all the best ones over the course of the day and showed it during the show on Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show with her interview, and it was a really great piece.
Absolutely. I mean, do you think this is what a lot of people just miss about Michelle Obama being the First Lady? The fact that she is just so natural and free and comfortable. Do you think this is the one thing that people, that's why when they see her, they just completely just lose it?
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. She's making people even more nostalgic because they, you know, the famous poem said, "First known when lost." Now she's gone and no longer in the White House. People realize just how wonderful what they had was, and also because she's in such stark contrast to Melania Trump. Yeah. That her warmth, she's so personable. Has that incredible book that she's promoting, so people can't get enough of her. And Michelle Obama just knows how to balance herself, where it never feels like she's forcing herself on people. She's just this very warm soul that people are drawn to, and she's very relatable and very approachable, and she just has that magic X factor that you can't quite put a name to, but she's got it.
Definitely got it. I mean, I miss her. I love her. Always have, always will. So now let's go back and talk about Disney just a little bit. On a different note this time, I mean, we've speculated about what shows may come to Disney streaming service, which is due for next year. And I hear that now there is an update on that. So please tell us what's happening.
Okay, so we've been talking about this. We know that Disney Plus, which is the name of the Disney streaming service, is coming in 2019. And we know that over the course of this year, Marvel shows, and we know Marvel is owned by Disney, the TV shows Daredevil, Luke Cage, Iron Fist were all cancelled. And people were speculating that this has to have something to do with Disney Plus, when Netflix is starting to prepare itself for the shows it might lose. Or maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that Disney is going to acquire them. So people kind of got fed up of speculating, and a rep for The Hollywood Reporter over in America actually directly asked a question to Kevin Mayer, who is the chairman at Walt Disney for direct-to-consumer. And so what Kevin Mayer actually said, we have his quote, is, "They are very high-quality shows. We haven't yet discussed that, but I will say that's a possibility." And whenever executives say a word like that, it means that it's currently in negotiation, and chances are it will happen if we agree the right terms. So it seems like when Netflix was cutting back, it wasn't because the shows weren't doing that well, but because they knew they couldn't have it long term. So it's best to get their subscribers used to knowing that those shows will no longer be on Netflix. It's all about long-term business planning.
Interesting. Now, that makes a lot of sense. I feel bad now thinking that they were just terrible shows with low ratings. But really, though, let's talk about it. Is it possible that we will see, the previous shows that Netflix has pushed back on, are we going to have them on Disney Plus now? Or, I mean, even looking at the same long-term process, isn't that what every streaming service wants? Would Disney acquire them, or is it just going to be, they're also going to have the long-term policy deal working?
I think all of these streaming services know that to compete, you have to have fresh content because the appetites of millennials, who are the main demographic for streaming, are always changing. So you have to be a constantly evolving organism as a business. So that's why as Disney Plus is coming out, it's announcing new shows. But because Disney is such a massive, long-running, established brand, they're tethering their shows to legacy. So the shows they're doing are attached to Star Wars, their stories are attached to cartoons, their stories are attached now to Marvel, which are comic books that have been here since the 60s. So they're really capitalizing on their legacy. Whereas someone like Netflix, while they're kind of almost cauterizing the wound of the hole that's going to be left by losing Disney content, like we said, they're expanding into the rest of the world. So they're making people the one chink in the armor of Disney is that they've always been accused of being racist because they don't cater to the appetites of people of the non-white audience. That's something they've been reeling against for years, for decades even. So that's something that Netflix has already got on lockdown because Netflix is a platform that almost appeals to every single kind of person from every single kind of place. So this business planning, it's so beautiful to see how different people attack the same issue, but with a very, very comparative success.
I know, that is just what's so beautiful about the people coming up with these ideas for both Disney and Netflix. Now let's go straight into film. I've been waiting to ask this. So, I mean, he is a pretty fine man. He has a movie coming out with Letitia Wright and, you know, possibly Ridley Scott now talking about John Boyega. It looks like the man is moving into animation and that should be fun. What's that about?
I swear to God, everything is coming up John Boyega right now. So it's been announced that the new adaptation of Watership Down, that was a famous cartoon back in 1978 that's had the voice of Oscar winner John Hurt. It's about these bunny rabbits that their warren is destroyed and they go on this epic journey and face perils to find a new home. It's a classic. It had music by Art Garfunkel. Now it turns out John Boyega is going to be voicing the character of Bigwig and also starring in the as voices on the new film, which is adapted by the BBC, is going to be Oscar winner Ben Kingsley and also Gemma Arterton, who we know from the Bond movie, Spectre. So sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, it's Quantum of Solace. So this is a great thing because the kinds of projects that John Boyega is putting out are so varied. Since he, remember that he's a sidekick character in Star Wars, everybody put their money down on Daisy Ridley. But it turns out that the bankable person has turned out to be Oscar Isaacs and John Boyega because he's done movies like Pacific Rim, he's done Detroit, he's now doing animation, he's doing the sci-fi with Letitia Wright, he might sign on to do a legal drama with Ridley Scott. His spectrum is so broad, and if you want to survive in this business, you've got to have range. And John Boyega is showing that he has range, he has appeal, he has youth, and he has popularity. So I feel very sorry for Daisy Ridley. She was meant to be the breakout star of Star Wars, but the song isn't all about her. It's all about JB.
Absolutely. So now, talking about going into animation, would you say this is another level? You know, how we always talk about how television is where every single star wants to be. So since we haven't seen that happening immediately, we're looking at animation. So would you say, okay, this is just another level? You know, you start having the voices of cartoons that people tend to love, cartoon characters people tend to love. Is this like another level of, you know, the whole film business, just getting higher and higher up that ladder?
Absolutely, because when these are things that basically take you from this level of actor to the elite level of actor. If you can do voices, if you're very identifiable as a voice, because remember previously we talked about Aladdin. Everyone remembers Robin Williams as the genie because he was a next-level performance actor vocally. If you tap into this broadens your range because the things they want an actor to be able to do is a very type of characters, accents, and also have a projectable, identifiable voice, which makes your brand. When John Boyega does this, if he puts in a good performance, he opens up the doors to other things he can do because then you can go into motion capture, you can go into things like Gollum that's made Andy Serkis famous because people know you can deliver that level of performance. So it's great for him, and he's young. So he's building up a foundation for a very, very long career.
All right, well, let's talk about James Bond right now, because I think apart from all the little teasers that are not really teasers that we've been getting from our favorite movies, this is another character that has gotten everybody's mind just going crazy. Now, just leaving that character alone, we don't know rather if Daniel Craig is returning as James Bond. We're hoping, fingers crossed. But now we are hearing that a big character may not return, and I'm just losing my mind wondering who it's going to be.
It's too much. I can't cope. I think they should just get Idris Elba in and everyone will come back and then I will be fine.
Judita.
But the thing is, Daniel Craig will not confirm, are you going to do it? Are you not going to do it? Just tell us. And so now it seems like it's turning into the Titanic because Ben Whishaw, the actor who took up the role of Q, and remember Q is this iconic character that used to be played by Desmond Llewellyn and then was played by John Cleese during the Pierce Brosnan years. He is the anchor of James Bond. He's the guy that provides all the tech, all the gadgets that make James Bond this elite spy. So Ben Whishaw took up the role, and he just seemed to slide in perfectly. He was young, but not too young. He was quirky, but not too quirky. He did smarts very well. He did deadpan comedy very well. He played off Daniel Craig very well. But then he did this interview where he said that he's not actually sure if he will be coming back because he feels that the stage the Bond franchise is now, he believes the director and Daniel Craig should just get on with it and try to make it work. And he's not sure if he's coming back. But the way he feels about it is that he's done 2 films. They were great films because remember, he came in on Skyfall. That was the runaway success. And he feels 2 is enough. So if they don't call him back, he'll be all right with it. But now with this, it's kind of like, all we really have as a guarantee is Naomi Harris as Moneypenny, and that's pretty much it.
I know, that is just, I'm really, really tired. So looking at everything, you know, the imbalance with who the James Bond character is going to be, looking at the fact that we just lost another big character, where does James Bond really stand? Where does the franchise really stand? I mean, are they going to start... Are people just going to be like, you know what, this is... I mean, we already have a lot of suspense-filled movies. I can't even take up another one. I'm just going to drop this one. Do you think we're getting to that point where fans may just get there?
I think so, because especially with all the kinds of new movies, the new kinds of spy movies, the new kind of spy TV shows coming out, James Bond might not be able to compete if it doesn't adapt to survive. And when they brought in Naomi Harris as a black Moneypenny, you could see them trying to do diversity, but they're just not willing to go the full hog and revolutionize Bond himself. And because Daniel Craig is 1 foot in, 1 foot out, people are kind of bored with the narrative now. And I think that probably reflected in what Ben Whishaw was saying, where if I go, I'm cool, I'm fine. And you've got people like Tom Hardy saying that, oh, you know, I'm not sure I'm going to do it. Then you've got the character of Eggsy from Kingsman. He's saying that I don't really want to do it. It's kind of a thing that once you do it, it's attached to your career forever. So you've got to really commit to doing it. But then at the same time, the appetite is not here. Because remember, James Bond was gone for years because post the Cold War, people didn't really feel that it was relevant. And then Pierce Brosnan gave it an injection for a short time, but still people didn't want to see a white man saving the whole world. And then Daniel Craig seemed more raw, real, thuggy. And so people said, yeah, I can do this. But then if they don't keep pushing him to evolve, it's going to be bye-bye Bond.
Well, Judita, please give us some joy, because all I've heard today is just bye-bye something. So please, we know you have a final video, so we hope that final video is going to bring joy to our hearts. So what would it be today?
Okay, this is a great one. It's from the producers of Avatar and Titanic. That's James Cameron and Martin Landau. And it's also got Christoph Waltz starring it and Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. They're both Oscar winners. It's about a cyborg that comes from a very mysterious origin. And she's treated and put together by a scientific doctor. And she goes on to prove that she's going to change the world. It's a beautiful... inclusion of real-life actors and motion capture and CGI, because we all know that's James Cameron's forte after he did it with Avatar. It's called Alita Battle Angel, and it's coming out on Valentine's Day next year. You're going to be blown away by this. Take a look.
Does it bother you that I'm not completely human?
You are the most human person I have ever met.
Didn't I tell you to be home before dark?
I just lost track of time.
Alita,
We have to be responsible. You are someone very special.
Hey, kid.
Not just a teenage girl.
Hey, what's your problem?
You can't remember.
What do you mean?
Doc found you in the scrapyard. So you must be from up there.
And I'm just an insignificant girl.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think.
I'm not your daughter. I don't know what I am.
I do. You're the most advanced weapon ever. But that's just a shell. It's not bad or good. That part's up to you.
I do not stand by in the presence of evil.
She's threatening the natural order of things. Tonight is not a game. It is a hunt. I need you to destroy the girl called Alita.
You made the biggest mistake of your life.
And what's that?
Underestimating who I am.
Now, the rest of this year in 2019 for movies is looking absolutely stunning. Well, that is all from Judita De Silva, and that is all from us as well. So from every single person here in Lagos and other in London, thank you for watching the show. And remember that you can catch us every single weekday at 4 p.m. right here on the Arise News channel. So until next time, I'm Kachi Ofia, and this has been Arise 360. Goodbye.